As her eyes adjusted to the darkness, Shiju saw something that made her heart race. The walls were covered in strange glowing runes, and the air was thick with the scent of herbs and something more sinister. At the center of the room was a cauldron, and above it hung a cloth dripping with a dark red liquid. Mesmerized, Shiju watched as the cloth dripped into the cauldron, the liquid seeping into the potion Anike had been brewing. Once upon a time in a bubbling village, there lived an alchemist named Anike. Her shop, the Mystic Potions, was the most popular establishment in the village, drawing people from far and wide who believed her potions were miraculous. Anike's concoctions were said to cure ailments, bring good fortune, and even reignite lost passions. People were often seen lining up outside her shop, desperate to bring their hands on her latest brew. The villagers, especially the men, would rave about the efficiency of her potions, claiming that they were more potent than any remedies their wives or other healers could provide. This newfound obsession with Anike's potions caused a rift in many homes, as men began to forsake their wives' traditional remedies in favor of Anike's mysterious concoctions. One day, a group of village women, frustrated by their husbands' newfound fascination with Anike's potions, decided to gather at the village square. Among them was Labake, a respected herbalist whose remedies had once been the most sought after in the village. She could no longer bear the thought of her husband and other men flocking to Anike's shop, ignoring the efforts of their wives. As the women deliberated on what to do, two distinct opinions emerged. Some wives, like Labake, believed they should uncover the secret behind Anike's potions and use that knowledge to regain their husband's trust. Others, like Modukpe, a fiery-tempered villager, argued that they should force Anike out of the village. That way, their husbands had no choice but to return to their wives' remedies. The heated debate raged on, but the women could not reach a consensus. Meanwhile, the men continued to gather at Anike's shop, oblivious of the growing discontent among their wives. Determined to find a solution, Labake suggested a bold plan. They would send a spy to work with Anike and learn her secrets. But who could they send? As Anike was familiar with all the villagers. At this point, Ebun, a quiet woman who rarely spoke, stepped forward. She suggested her niece, Shijuade, who had just moved into the village and was unknown to Anike. The women agreed happily, feeling hopeful for the first time in weeks. Their plan was set in motion, and Shiju would begin her covert mission the next day. Shiju, a young and determined woman with a sharp mind, applied for the position of Anike's assistant the following morning. Anike, impressed by Shiju's eagerness and unassuming nature, hired her on the spot. Anike's shop was a treasure trove of strange ingredients and enigmatic symbols, filling Shiju with a mix of awe and curiosity. From the outset, Anike seemed to trust Shiju, but there were strict rules she had to follow. Anike warned her never to enter the potion room with a footwear, but always with her bare foot. Shiju was taken aback but complied. She began her duties, which included cleaning, organizing ingredients, and preparing basic mixtures. As the days passed, Shiju observed Anike's methods carefully. She noted the unusual ingredients Anike used and the mysterious rituals she performed. But despite her best efforts, Shiju found herself struggling to remember any specifics, and when she returned home every evening, it was as if her memory of the day's events vanished the moment she stepped outside the shop. Labake, eager for any news, grew increasingly frustrated with Shiju's lack of concrete information. Shiju, equally baffled, vowed to uncover the truth. Determined to solve the mystery, she resolved to break Anike's rule and enter the potion room with her slippers on the next day. The following evening, after Anike had retired to her house, then Shiju gathered her courage and walked into the potion room with her slippers on her feet, breaking the rule Anike had set. The room was dimly lit by a single flickering candle, casting shadows on the walls. As her eyes adjusted to the darkness, Shiju saw something that made her heart race. The walls were covered in strange glowing runes, and the air was thick with the scent of herbs and something more sinister. At the center of the room was a cauldron, and above it hung a cloth dripping with a dark red liquid. Mesmerized, Shiju watched as the cloth dripped into the cauldron, the liquid seeping into the potion Anike had been brewing. Suddenly, Anike entered the room, catching Shiju in the act. With a menacing smile, Anike revealed the truth. Her potions were infused with blood, not of a magical creature but of a forbidden and dark origin. This blood gave the potions their addictive and enchanting qualities, making the villagers crave more and forget their past loyalties. Anike, realizing that her secret was out, decided she could not let Shiju live. She cast a spell and Shiju felt her consciousness slipping away. The last thing she saw was Anike's triumphant grin before darkness consumed her. Shiju woke up in a cold, damp cell, her hands bound by chains. Beside her was another young woman who introduced herself as Lara, the previous assistant. Lara explained that she too had discovered Anike's dark secrets and had been imprisoned ever since. Anike kept her alive, feeding her just enough enchanted food to maintain the memory loss and compliance. However, Lara had managed to resist the enchantment by secretly discarding the food. She retained her memories and was determined to find the way out. And with Shiju's arrival, Lara believed there is now a chance to escape and expose Anike's wicked practices. Together, they devised a plan. They would pretend to consume the food Anike provided, but in reality, they would save their strength and search for a means to break the enchantment surrounding the cell. Shiju remembered her grandfather's teachings about breaking dark spells and shared this knowledge with Lara. After days of careful planning and gathering their strength, Shiju and Lara were ready. They recited the ancient incantation Shiju had remembered from her grandfather, hoping it would weaken the enchantments. As they chanted, they felt the air around them shift, the oppressive weight of the spell lifting slightly. With renewed determination, they pushed against the cell door. Slowly, it creaked open. They consciously made their way through the dark corridors of Anike's shop, avoiding traps and enchanted barriers. Every step was filled with danger, but their resolve never wavered. At last, they reached the exits. With one final push, they burst through the door and into the night. The cool air and freedom was a contrast to the dungeon's suffocating darkness. They ran to Labake's home, where they shared their ordeal and Anike's wicked secrets. The next morning, the village burst with news of Anike's dark practices. Outraged, the villagers gathered at the square led by Labake and other women. They marched to Anike's shop demanding justice. Anike, sensing the rising anger and knowing her secrets were exposed, tried to flee, but the villagers cornered her. With nowhere to run, Anike confessed to her actions, explaining that she had turned to dark magic out of jealousy and a desire for control. She revealed how she used forbidden blood to create her potions, manipulating the villagers for her own gain. The village elders, appalled by her deeds, decided her fate. Anike was banished from the village and she left in disgrace with her powers stripped away by the elders. The villagers, now free from her influence, began to heal. The men returned to their families seeking forgiveness for their blind trust in Anike's portions. The women, led by Labake, reclaimed their rightful place in their homes and community. Shijuade and Lara were hailed as heroes for their bravery and determination. The village celebrated their triumph, and the bonds of family and friendship grew stronger than ever. The villagers learned a valuable lesson about the dangers of envy and the importance of trust and unity. As peace returned to the village, Shijuade opened her own shop using her knowledge of herbs and potions for good. She dedicated her life to healing and helping others, ensuring that no one would ever again fall victim to dark magic. The story teaches us that jealousy and the desire for control can lead to darkness and destructive actions. It underscores the importance of trust, integrity, and unity within a community. By valuing and supporting one another, we can overcome any challenge and create a harmonious and thriving society. Thank you for watching another of our story. Please don't forget to like, comment, and share this video. Also, subscribe and turn on your notification bell to get notified when we drop our next story. See you on the next one. Bye.